Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another edition of Mean Streets powered by FTN. Rocking the hat for you here today on Game Plus Network. Thanks as always for taking the time to hang out. I'm seeing some people hanging out here already live on the Twitter machine at Chris Meany, hanging out on the FTN YouTube page. Smash the like button. Appreciate that. If you have any questions, leave them there in the YouTube page section, the description of this show, and we can get to them throughout the show. I see some people hanging out, and I absolutely love it. Javi Perlezzo is stuck in Vegas. Must be nice, bud. Must be nice. He says, I'm stuck in Vegas because of a diverted flight waiting to go home. The show is going to let me place a few easy bets and make time go faster. I'll pick up that DFS NHL article for you, Javi. You have a safe flight home. Stuck in Vegas, man. Not bad. Not bad at all. Busy show here today. 8 games on the ice. Just saw Jack Hughes is going to make his return. That's good because I'm back in the Devils. Eric Young and myself, Dangle Betselli. We recorded it this morning. It is live over at ftnbets.com. Free show to check out. iTunes, Spotify, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. You can watch the replay here on our YouTube page, or you can check it out at ftnbets.com. We're still giving away betting packages too. If you subscribe, rate, review, and you send that screenshot over that you are subbed to Dangle Betselli over at meanstreetsftn@gmail.com, we'll put you in a draw, and we'll be giving a betting package away on Thursday. FTN is the promo code for everything, but we have an FTN TV promo code, 15% off if you're looking to be part of the FTN fan betting package. Our college guy yesterday, Mike, I think he went like 10 for 11 yesterday in college basketball. He went like over 100 units last season as well, and guys are crushing it in every single sport over at FTN. So a lot to talk about today. Going to recap last night's brutal football game. I suppose if you are a Seattle fan or a DK Metcalf owner or a Russell Wilson owner, it was pretty bad. But if you're a Washington fan, you woke up here this morning and you are in a playoff spot. We will look at the playoff scenarios. It's still kind of early, right? It's week 13. There's a few weeks left in the season, only a couple before fantasy football playoffs are, so we'll hit the waiver wire a little bit too, but producer Tino is going to drop by and we're going to talk about just some of the playoff scenarios if the playoffs started today, teams that are in the hunt. We'll maybe take a look at just some Super Bowl odds and just kind of have a general conversation of where we are after 12 weeks. And I'm going to look ahead week 13. I usually don't do that on this show. I don't take a look at the picks until maybe a Thursday or a Friday or something like that, but I put a couple bets in there last night after watching Seattle, just play garbage football again. We can make excuses all we want for Russell Wilson's finger, but this is a team that just has looked pretty bad. They need a change, don't they? Whether it's Pete Carroll or Russell Wilson asks for another trade or gets out of there. They're playing San Fran this week, division game, but I already chucked that in at -2. We'll take a look at some early lines, and like I said, we'll hit the waiver wire and some baseball signings as well. This is pretty much the last day of free agency with the collective bargaining agreement, December 1st. Javier Baez, I think, is the latest big name to sign. We'll keep an eye on things here on this show, but Baez signs in Detroit. We'll go over that. Robbie Ray. The AL West, it just keeps getting better and better and better, which sucks for any Halo fan out there. And also Oakland, right? The Oakland A's are not going to spend any money. We know this, right? They're probably going to lose some more of their players. Matt Olson, is he going to hang around? I don't know. This is a team that really just, if you're a baseball fan, you already know this, and you're an A's fan hanging out here on the show, you know that they're not going to be able to compete with some of the big dogs in the AL West. But at the end of the day, this is a team that's always hanging around, right? Let's recap last night here a little bit and kind of touch the waiver wire with some news items, because yesterday, of course, as it always goes when you do a live show, news breaks after. We did get the Max Scherzer signing in the middle of the show, which was great for Tino to get his thoughts, and now he's had about 24 hours to kind of get more thoughts on what he thinks of the signing, but we'll get into the baseball stuff in a little bit. But yesterday there was, CMC broke, and then Cook, and then we got news on Darren Waller, so touch on that in just a little bit. So last night, 17-15 final for Washington. The under was one of our favorite plays here on this show, but we were backing Seattle. Actually going to take a couple L's here yesterday. Alex Collins, my bad. Yikes. I mean, brutal. What was I thinking? Alex Collins, man. He had one good run, 7 for 14 yesterday. He was bad. We talked about Gerald Everett first touchdown. I don't think we pushed that enough. I don't think we pushed it enough. We talked about him first touchdown and any touchdown at plus 350. He scored the first touchdown of the game yesterday. But really, it was just, I saw Seattle struggling on offense. I saw them struggle again, third down offense, the worst third down team in the NFL, going up against the worst third down defensive team in the NFL in Washington, and Washington, had their way. And like I said, here they are in a playoff spot. But just go over some of the numbers yesterday, where we always hold ourselves accountable here. We'll pat ourselves on the back for wins and really just take a look at some of the losses and where we went wrong. Something didn't have on this show, but had it in the FTN bet tracker, because just the time we were doing the show, there was nothing there in terms of Antonio Gibson rushing attempts. So 14.5 was in the bet tracker. Again, FTN TV gets you all the bets from everybody. Use that promo code, save yourself a little bit of cash over at ftnbets.com/pricings. And Gibson, 29 carries, right? $111 on the ground. He caught 7 passes. It was a big game for him. He was strong. I know Gibson owners are probably still frustrated. I have him in some spots as well. And, it is a little frustrating to see him march up the field the whole way. And the J.D. McKissic comes in and, red zone packages. He had a receiving yard touchdown, and then he had a rushing yard touchdown. We've seen that multiple times. It was something that we talked about heading into this season, that McKissic would be involved. If you go look at the past 2 years and who has the most catches in the NFL, it's J.D. McKissic. It's not Alvin Kamara. It's not CMC. It's J.D. McKissic. Like, this guy is a factor in the offense, and, he's pretty good. And hopefully he's okay, because he got carted off late last night in that game. It looked like a neck injury, but he did get up, which was good, because he was just laying there for a little bit, and I was like feeling a little worried for the guy. But he did get up, and he had a really strong game yesterday. We didn't get his receiving yards. We needed one more. We needed one more receiving yard from him, so we didn't get that one. We were on the wrong end of that, but we were on the right of Logan Thomas, the right end of it, because he got his receiving yard prop by half a yard. It was 30.5, and he had 31. So, you win some, you lose some, right? You get the Thomas, and then you don't get the McKissic, and almost had a touchdown too. We talked about Logan Thomas finding the end zone. That was, it was called a touchdown. I think it was the right call. It did look like the ball kind of moved a little bit. It did look a little bit like a Mr. Dez Bryant back in the day. But just going over some of these numbers, we didn't have anything from the Seattle side. We talked about Lockett with the only one with the receiving yards, but DK Metcalf, we were just unsure. And my goodness, this guy had one catch for 13 yards, and it came on the final drive. He had 4 targets. He was completely wide open going for the 2-point convo. Seattle to tie that game. He was wide open, and Russell didn't look his way. These are some of the numbers over the last 6 weeks, actually. So I have the last 3 games for DK with Russell Wilson: 8 catches, 70 yards, and 0 touchdowns. DK's last 13 quarters with Geno, so it's 3 games and 1 quarter. You remember he came in for relief against the Rams in week 5 when Russell had the finger injury. So DK caught three balls, 54 yards, and a touchdown in that fourth quarter alone. But over his last 13 quarters, so including that fourth and those last 3 games with Geno Smith, 17 grabs, 251 yards, and 4 touchdowns. It's quite a big difference. Now, Russell Wilson, again, is it the finger? Sure. He was sailing balls yesterday, which seems it is unrealistic from Russell Wilson. When Jalen Reagor says it's uncharacteristic that he dropped 2 passes, does anybody believe him when he says that stuff? You're not believing that nonsense. But when Russell Wilson, and you see him, sailing balls and not an accurate quarterback, he's been one of the most accurate quarterbacks since he's entered the league. He's always among the leaders in completion percentage. He clearly does look off, right? But this Seattle team I got to think that they're checked out now. On offense, they're not rolling, not playing great offense. Defense, they held their own yesterday, but for the most part, they haven't played great defense this season either. Teams are running all over them, which is what we saw with Gibson and McKissic sparingly at times as well. But a shout out to Taylor Heineke, and a shout out to this Washington team, like I said, in a playoff spot. But man, a couple weeks ago, I got to take another loss, because a couple weeks ago on this show, I talked about buying low on these 2 weapons. Like Lockett has been okay. Lockett's been fine. There's been some big plays. That's what he does. It's some big plays that can make you, help you win a week. There's a lot of boom. There's some bust. There's a lot of boom. But for Metcalf, I can't explain it. I can't explain the fact that he only got 4 targets and 3 or 2 of them came in like that final drive. I don't understand what's happening there. I did see Russell sail a couple balls that normally he wouldn't, but I don't know. Trade deadline's over. Like, your team that you have, you're kind of just stuck with that team. But I still like Metcalf overall. But I'm thinking about what I think about Metcalf and the Seattle team. I think about, like, from a dynasty standpoint, heading into the season, there were only a couple wide receivers that I would put ahead of DK Metcalf in terms of dynasty. And now there's a handful. Like, Jamar Chase is one of those guys for certain that I would have over DK Metcalf. What's the quarterback situation like in Seattle? Does Russell leave? Pete Carroll needs to go too, by the way. One of those two guys, they need to go. Geno is not the answer, but what Geno did was look at DK Metcalf continuously, look at him and feed him the ball. So that was my big takeaway from yesterday, is that the Seattle offense is completely broken, but got the Gibson, didn't get McKissick, got Thomas, didn't get Alex Collins, didn't get Seattle, but we got the under. So it was really a so-so day. Quickly rapid fire through some of these injuries before we break and we bring in Tino to look at some of the playoff pitchers. My guy George does it again with some of his graphics. Dan Arnold, 4 to 6 weeks. I think we talked about that yesterday, but you would assume that Marvin Jones would get some more targets. Laquan Treadwell, he was second in terms of snaps, and he was first in targets. 6 years later, this guy seems to be maybe making some noise. Deep league pickup, maybe deep league pickup. CMC's done for the season, unfortunately. Man, he's probably not going to be picked. Where's he going to go next year in drafts? Like, this is an ankle injury that even if we were in week 12, well, we are, my goodness, if we were week 8, he may still be done for the season. It's like a 6 to 8 week thing is what I read. I know people are going to go after Chuba Hubbard and Amir Abdullah. I think it's a trap. I think both pickups are a trap. It's a very tough schedule. Carolina is on bye this week. Cam Newton's not great. He's not great, guys. He can't move the football. He can just run around and give you some rushing yards and hopefully a rushing touchdown. He's not an accurate quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. And it's going to be hard for them to move the ball. But I do believe if you're looking for one of the two, it would be Amir Abdullah. Because he's played more snaps, 4 straight games now, I believe, more snaps than Chuba Hubbard, and he's the third down guy. He's been catching some balls out of the backfield, but we all know who the goal line guy is. It's Cam, so it's tough for all of these guys. The big winner is Alexander Mattison. When I say winner, I don't mean it that way. I mean, we're talking about injuries here, but if you have Alexander Mattison, you're good to go here for the next couple weeks. It looks like Cook is going to be sidelined for a couple weeks with the dislocated shoulder. Darren Waller, week to week. Foster Moreau played 100% of the snaps against the Eagles when he filled in for Waller. I think he's a great tight end pickup if you need a tight end this week. I know Travis Kelce is coming back, and some of the teams on bye, there's not really a lot of tight ends that you would be rostering, but I'm going to have him ranked as a top 10 tight end. There's no question. I'm going to have him ranked as a top 10 tight end. I play him over guys like Higbee. I play him over Hunter Henry. I would play him over a lot of guys. I think he's going to be pretty good over these next couple weeks. And then Deebo Samuel is out for 1 to 2 weeks. And then we talked yesterday about Zeke potentially missing this game. We also talked about it with Jake Seeley on All in Football, which you can catch at Game Plus Network. And I don't know, Jerry Jones said today that there's going to be a serious workload for Zeke on Thursday Night Football against the Saints. So I don't know. Can you believe Jerry? He likes to talk a lot, so I don't know if you can buy into that too much. But we're going to break 13 minutes into the show. We are finally going to have a little break. We got some hockey stuff. We got some playoff stuff. We got people hanging out here. Comments galore. I love it. Javi's having fun in Vegas, too. I'm super jealous about that. All right. Keep her locked. Mean Streets continues here on Game Plus Network. Welcome back to Mean Streets here on Game Plus Network, and I'll do a little fix on the fly. We got people hanging out with here. Producer Tino is joining us. We're rocking the FTN hats. What do you got, a little green there? That's nice. Oh, unmute. There we
Nice.
go.
I,
There we
I
go.
I pulled I pulled the rookie move. A lot of audio going on, but it's better than the echo coming through. Okay, I'd rather be muted than we hear the audio issues in the echo. But yeah, we got the FTN bets trucker hat going on. You got the dad hat going on. So we
I get
have
the dad hat. Yeah.
we're pushing the merch too. I know Cyber Monday's done, but if you want to go get some FTN gear for the friends and fam, head over to ftnbets.com. Treat yourself, treat your loved ones.
Yeah, tis the season.
'Tis the season.
Yes, I like the trucker hat. I'm a fan. Like nothing against the dad hat. The dad hat's fine. I'm not a dad, but I'm old enough, I suppose, to be one. Clock is ticking. Wifey's not watching the show, so it's all good. But yeah, no, the trucker.
Change the subject.
This is stop. Rewind. No, the trucker hat is the trucker hats. They're solid, man. I like them. I know D Jones is a fan. Kyle Murray's a fan as well, and I'm with them. I know there's some team dad hats going on. I think Joe Metz is kind of team dad, and I'm with the trucker. I mean, Metz is a new dad, right? And so is Jones, but he's riding the trucker hats. Dude, we got some comments in here. We got our guy George hanging out. What did we talk about yesterday with George? We talked about prize picks. We talked about prize picks and the fact that you can go 3 for 4. George, I think you may need to play some prize picks, dudes. Dude, he's stuck in Vegas. Every man's dream. Yes. Yeah. Abby is just stuck in Vegas. Yeah. So George missed a huge parlay thanks to the one, what is it? Yeah, you missed out on Matthew Tkachuk, the shots on goal. Man, we got the Tage Thompson, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Connor Garland, and then it was this one when it was just like Tkachuk or Johnny Gaudreau. You can go one or the other. But George, he always talks about how he just misses on one, and it was the last game of the night. Exactly what we talked about. Rewind the tape. The last game of the night on a 4-leg parlay is the one that screws you. Prize Picks, guys. I'm telling you, there's free Prize Picks content over at TikTok Mini. I get the same dagger eyes every day. Yeah, again, ftndaily.com. You check out the free DFS Picks section, the tab up at the top. We're giving free picks across all our partner sites. We're talking Jock Market, Prize Picks, Underdog. It's all right there for you, Thrive Fantasy. And again, for Prize Picks, and that's my favorite because you can go 3 for 4 and still earn yourself a profit. And I know a lot of people out there, myself too, get a little greedy, add that 4th game on, and it kind of backfires sometimes. So check out prizepicks.com. Use the promo code FTN. Simple over or under on a player's prop or their fantasy score. And again, you can go 3 for 4, win some cash, 4 for 5, or you can just go for the bigger payout and try for 4 for 4. We'll try it again here today. We'll win you some money here today, dude. We'll talk MLB a little bit. I wanted to get your thoughts again on MLB, but let's bring up some of the graphics here that George has for us. What do we got? NFC. Let's talk NFC here a little bit and just see the playoff picture. Man, this is sharp, George. You've done it again. Arizona up at the top, 9-2. 9-2. We had somebody in our FTN NFL betting package ask about Coach of the Year. They were going to talk about Bill Belichick, and he had a free bet, and he wanted to hammer it down. My guy Tom, and Belichick was 3-1. I think Kingsbury is still in the conversation, right? They rattled off 2 of 3 wins against tough opponents without Kyler and Hopkins. I think what Cliff Kingsbury's done this season, I think he's 6-1 for Coach of the Year. I think he's a pretty decent bet, but man, we'll get to the Pats in a little bit. If they take care of the Bills this weekend, it really could be Bill Belichick's award to lose. Washington gets into that final wildcard spot, as I mentioned off the top of the show with that W last night against the Seattle Seahawks. Green Bay 9-3. With the 2 seed, San Fran and Tampa, that'd be a pretty interesting matchup. 8-3 the Bucks, the Niners 6-5, gonna have to get by without Deebo Samuel over these next couple of weeks. LA Rams at 7-4 and Dallas at 7-4. Dude, that would be a great matchup. Are you concerned about the Rams at all? Like a couple weeks ago, they were the favorites. We talked about them on this show as being the favorites. We said, oh man, Matthew Stafford is rolling, MVP favorite. He's cooking. The Rams look really great. The schedule's pretty tough, man. So they've lost 3 straight games. Since week 8, they're averaging 71 rushing yards per game on the ground. That is the worst in the NFL. Matthew Stafford has thrown a pick 6 in 3 consecutive games. This week, they have maybe a get-right game for them against Jacksonville. After that, they go into Arizona. They play Seattle. I guess Seattle stinks, but that's still going to be a tough game for them, a division game. At Minnesota, a lot on the line against the Vikings. At Baltimore, week 17. Then home to San Fran. That's not an easy finish, man. I think the Rams are going to make the playoffs, but This is completely different from 4 weeks ago when we talked that they were just going to cruise.
Yeah, well, the second they signed Von Miller, I put a futures bet on them for the division and the Super Bowl. And right now, dude, health is wealth, right? I mean, my biggest concern is Stafford. I know you bring up the running game, but last week I made a bunch of money on the Packers. I was on them anyways as home. Packers one of the best against spread teams in the league. Spread wasn't really existent in that matchup, but the second all those reports came out that Stafford's battling, multiple injuries, I'm like, well, that's not great going into Green Bay, cold weather, just with how the Packers defense has been playing, and it showed. It obviously affected them. I know Odell caught a touchdown late in that game, but I feel like without Robert Woods, we kind of talked about it. This team's missing an element. I think they're missing their rhythm. It's very odd seeing them right now. I feel like Cooper Kupp is still Cooper Kupp, but other than that, I don't know. They're kind of losing their identity kind of as a whole right now. I mean, their defense has not been very good. I mean, really underperforming as a unit, especially for a team that's gone all in. I do need to shout out the Washington football team. I did call some people out by saying the Washington football team is not good. And, everyone who said they'd win the division needs to show themselves. And I still don't think they're very good, but they're in the 7th seed. So you know what? Hell, I like that the NFC East is still in this. I like that we're competing. We got some competitive games coming up, a lot of in-division games. And it's actually very interesting. I know we're going to get to the AFC later, but a lot of these teams are going to start to play each other. I mean, San Francisco's at 6, the Rams at 5, Arizona up at the top spot. But all those West games are going to kind of sort out the playoff picture, right? So I think down the stretch here with this added week, 18 weeks in the season now, we're going to have some exciting football here. This extra wild card spot, I didn't know how to feel about it at first. I think it's going to make for some exciting football down the stretch here. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. Bring up that board again. And let's look some of these matchups. Would LA and Dallas be the most intriguing matchup to you? And I'm also starting to come around on Green Bay. Right? I think I've been hard on them for a couple years. Certainly hard on them this year. Now I'm just looking at this team like, man, the path. Sure, Arizona Dome. Packers already beat them, but for the most part, man, these games could go through Lambeau, and that's super tough. I mean, Rodgers and Green Bay's been so dominant at home. They got a solid winning streak going. They're playing really good defense. Man, going into Lambeau when it's super cold, that's really tough. A tough environment to play football. And AJ Dillon is a beast as well. I mean, what they want to do with him is just run the rock, and he just runs over people. So, what do you think would be the most intriguing matchup on the board here, though?
So I'm going Tampa Bay, San Francisco. Actually, that's the one I want to see the most. I mean, a little Garoppolo versus Brady action. I think Brady holds the upper hand, but I mean, you got to like a little storyline, a little master and protege type of thing going on there with Jimmy G and the tenseness that was in New England when Jimmy G was kind of waiting under the wings. And he got shipped over to San Francisco. So I think the 49ers are actually a very sneaky, underrated team. Now, it hurts that Debo, quote-unquote, Cordero Patterson-Samuel is now dinged up. And seriously, over the last couple of weeks, he said, Cordero, hold my beer. I'm going to show you I can play running back too. I love how they were using him. We'll see who kind of fills that role for them. But I think that's a super interesting matchup. And to your point, I've been critical on Green Bay too, but with how it's shaking up now, I think it's vital that Arizona wins out and ends up taking that top spot. I think it's crucial because I don't think they're as good as displayed. And I think when the playoffs come, they need to host Tampa or Green Bay or even any of these other teams to have a leg up, even Los Angeles. Like, they need to be able to host the 4 or 5 seeds, or say they make it to the NFC Championship, Green Bay or Tampa, because I just don't think they're going to be able. I mean, Tampa's Tampa, is Florida. So I think Arizona can go to Florida and be fine, but it's a tough place to play. But you're not going to go to one of these cold weather cities. You don't want to if you're Arizona, especially in Green Bay. So yeah, I think that 3-6 matchup right now is super interesting. But again, if the Packers end up taking the 1 and Arizona comes down to the 2, whoever gets that 7 spot and plays them in the first round, I think could shake things up a little bit, right? We could look at Minnesota, maybe Arizona. Washington's defense is going to play them close. Say San Francisco drops down to 7 and it's San Francisco, Arizona first round. Like, that's an in-division game. It could be anyone's game. So kind of seeing where these upsets would unfold, I think right now is the most intriguing thing. And these bottom seeds, man, the NFC is wide open. Like, I don't want to see any of these bottom seeds right now. I want to play the least hot one possible. Give me the Rams.
Yeah.
I think give me the Rams right now, probably, right? I mean, they're slumping so hard. It's like, I'd rather see the Rams more than anyone.
I still think they get in, but I know. I still think they get in. I think you're spot on with the Robert Woods analysis. The offensive line doesn't look great. And you hear all the reports with Matthew Stafford. And I tweeted yesterday about Stafford threw a pick six in each of his past 3 games. And I think there was a couple, maybe Lions fans or Bears fans or Packers fans, they jumped into the replies and said, well, what else is new? Like, that's classic Matthew Stafford. And I guess fine, that's fair, I suppose. But he looked really good at the start of the season with a great offensive mind in Sean McVay and great weapons surrounding him. But there's multiple reports that he's dealing with a neck and a knee and an ankle and a chronic back issues. He doesn't look the same. He does not look like the same quarterback that we saw over the first few weeks of the season. We could break in and we'll get into the AFC, but man, it's going to be a dogfight for that final wild card spot. It really is, man, with your Giants and the Eagles having a pretty good schedule. The Vikings with, a tough loss, but I'm looking at their schedule. They got Detroit this week. Pittsburgh I think that they're trash. Chicago's a winnable game, and then they're going to finish pretty tough, against the Rams and at Green Bay and then Chicago. So they do have 3 winnable games, right, where they could get to maybe 8, potentially 9. I think the Eagles could get to that number, maybe 8, not so much 9. I think your Giants certainly could as well. And then, Washington. So it's really going to be a dogfight for that last wildcard spot. But I think we're in agreement that San Fran, good to go. This is a team that's completely on the rise. And I think that they're a team that you don't want to play in the playoffs.
Well, San Fran's got to stay healthy. You don't want to see a hot NFC East team. It doesn't matter. History has just told us that, right? Washington, Philly, New York. It doesn't matter. Bias aside, any of those teams have to win out basically to really solidify themselves at that 7 spot. They're going to be rolling going in. All of them have played better defensively, especially the Eagles, than I've expected. Washington lost Chase Young, and they showed up, and I know Seattle stinks, but they've played relatively well. They beat Tampa, a couple weeks ago. So there's that. And then also the thing about the Rams, and I know you don't want to buy into a lot of stuff that has happened, like when we clown, Green Bay for losing the championship every year. Stafford hasn't won a playoff game yet. He's not very good against winning teams. And I think you got to take that into account, right? We're super excited about the Rams and what they have going on there, but I don't know. They haven't really had guys that have done it, right? I don't know. The defense is kind of all they have, and they got to lean on, and they've been underperforming. So if the defense steps up towards the end of the season, I'll feel more confident. But if you're putting it all on Stafford, I don't know, man. The Rams scare me. The Rams really scare me right now.
Yeah, they're scaring me too. It's crazy how quickly things change in the NFL, right? I mean, a few weeks ago, like I said, we were all on this Rams team. We were feeling it. We were drinking the Kool-Aid. And now it's I've kind of changed my tune. I like this Packers team at home. They're just, like I said, it's a tough place to play at Lambeau. And I really like the way that defense is played, even missing some, Jair Alexander missing some games, and they're still playing significant defense. The Rams did okay last year against Green Bay in the playoffs, but Jared Goff, right? He had the broken thumb, I think. And so I think that would be an upgrade. But man, Robert Woods is a huge loss. We see people hanging out here. Harry Wolf, you have a trade. We'll get to that after the break. Luke Maxwell is dying to know if Freddie Freeman signs with the Braves. Does Freddie Freeman sign with the Braves today? And then later on, does Freddie Freeman sign with the Braves today? Can we get that exclamation mark, that bottom comment? Can we get that on the screen for our guy Luke Maxwell here today? Dude is tripping. He's freaking out. Are you a Braves fan? I would like to know, honestly. Or are you just a big Freddie? I'm with you, man. I'm excited too. Baseball signings are happening. We have a couple more to talk about, but first we're going to talk about the AFC. Yep. So we'll break, talk AFC, and we'll get to that question as well that we see from Harry. So keep your lock. Mean Streets continues here on Game Plus Network. Welcome back to Mean Streets here on Game Plus Network. Chris Meany and Tino Rodriguez here with you. Continuing the NFL talk, Luke is a Braves fan. He's also a Browns fan, and we suck. Oh, dude. It's been a rough year. Injuries have been a rough year for the Cleveland Browns. I thought that they would be a playoff team this year. I thought that they would compete for the division. But unfortunately, honestly, the Browns don't stink. They've went through some stuff. I think there's a lot of questions surrounding Baker Mayfield. I have the same sort of questions. I love the defense. I love the personnel. I love the offensive line. But, man, you're going through some injuries. Like Conklin's the latest guy to lose. He's done for the season now. So, Luke, have you been to the Mooney lot? You must have been to the Mooney lot. Like, that's a time, dude. Like, the Mooney lot is a great experience, a great tailgate. And I don't know if Freddie Freeman signs today. I don't know.
They better hope.
I would assume the Braves do what they can to lock up that guy, right? Let's lock up Freddie Freeman. He's an absolute stud. You got Acuna and Albies on friendly contracts in there. And George says someone wanted to tell Boston that MLB signings are happening. Yeah, the Red Sox are snoozing. We'll get to the MLB signings in a little bit. Let's get to this question here. So Harry Wolf says he has a trade, PPR. Man, so trades are still happening. Eh? Okay. PPR, I give Kelsey, Jamar, and DK for Kittle, Claypool, Tyreek, and DJ. Wow, that's a big one to dissect here. So you're giving Kelsey. I don't like giving Kelsey.
So my advice on this is just like it seems like you're getting more, right? With like no pun intended. But sometimes with fantasy, and I've learned this through a lot of the guys over at Bets TV, shout out to Jake Seeley and Jeff Ratcliffe, also, the people at FTN. You don't want fantasy to be a headache. You don't want all those decisions. Sometimes it's a good problem to have on paper, but when you're making your decisions come playoff time, you want to know who you're playing. So by inheriting a guy, you're inheriting 3 receivers. You can only start 2 in most scenarios, unless, you're starting one of these guys in your flex and you desperately need it. You got to manage that. And it's like, you're kind of taking away the for sure thing. Like, and I reached out to him in the comments and said, I trade DK because he's a headache right now, but I'm setting and forgetting Jamar every week. And I have no problem with it. And the same with Kelsey. So you're kind of flip-flopping, Kittle for Kelsey, which is the same thing. I take Jamar probably over a lot of those guys right now. Say you can do like DK for DJ Moore-ish, right? Tyreek's too expensive. So like if you can work out a DK, DJ Moore and like get a little incentive in there, then I'd be fine with it because we've talked about it. You highlighted it. DK, I don't know. Like I took him out of my starting lineup in the leagues I'm in right now. I have the means to do it, and I don't trust him. I don't trust him at all over the last couple of weeks.
Must be nice.
Yeah, look, I'm starting. Well, so it's a double flex league. I get to start a running back there. I think I'm moving in Elijah Mitchell, but my receivers are like Mike Evans, Kupp, and Waddle. Like I'm starting Waddle. Like I have no problem not. Like I'm starting Elijah Mitchell over DK this week without hesitation. Like, and I know he's projected less. It's just like I'd rather the for sure. Like I know who's gonna get the workload. DK's workload. I think it's all projection based. And like if you watch the games, I don't know. He's kind of fluky this season. Like unless he breaks one. What has he done in fantasy?
Yeah, he's done nothing with Russell Wilson over the last 3 weeks, that's for sure. And it didn't look like he was going to do anything with Geno Smith, but at least he was targeting him. You're right. It's been a down year for DK. It's been a down year for a lot of people. A lot of players that went in the first round, like off the top of my head, like, I don't know, Kelsey's been fine. He's been okay. Like he's great. Tyreek Hill he's been good. Devontae Adams has been good, but a lot of the running backs, right? A lot of the top 5-6 running backs, unfortunately injuries have happened and to all of them, besides Zeke. And it looks like he's going to get a full workload. Yeah, I'm with you. My initial gut feeling was like, I like that Kelsey and Jamar, side of things, but I don't really love Claypool, but Tyreek is fine, and then I just Carolina this offense, right?
Would you say Kelsey's the better of the 2 Chiefs guys to have? Like, would you rather have Kelsey over Hill? Like, say just like for what it is, everything aside, like just knowing what
yeah.
Like if you're talking upside Hill, right? But it's like
Hill. It's Hill. Yeah. I think it depends on the makeup of your team. If you have solid running backs that give you a decent floor every single week, I would shoot for the upside in Tyreek Hill. That's just kind of the way that I like to play. I like to shoot for that upside. And Tyreek gives you that upside. There's been some dud games, but he's won you weeks single-handedly because of his performance. And Travis Kelce is this solid floor guy. He's had some cold weeks, but, the KC offense is really rolling. Speaking of KC, let's talk about this AFC playoff picture here. And then we break again. AFC playoff picture, the Ravens 8-3 up at the top. Oh man, this board, George, so sharp. The Chargers and the Pats. Oh baby, 8-4 New England, the second seed. New England already took care of the Chargers earlier this year. Buffalo and Tennessee, that was an entertaining game earlier in the season where Tennessee hung on to that game, 8-4 in that 3 spot. They ran the ball really well last week against New England, but they're still going to be without a lot of their weapons over the next few weeks of the season. I'm not ready to say that the Bills figured it out because of a game against the Saints. Let's see what happens Monday night against the Pats. KC in that 4 spot, and Cincinnati, man, playing really good football. I've been in on the Bengals. I was in on the Bengals, I think, a couple weeks ago when they beat the Ravens, and then they got smacked at home against the Browns. And then, I thought last week when they just smacked the Steelers. I do like this Bengals team. I like the defense. They played pretty good. I like the fact that they have a strong run game. They got the Chargers this week, and I'm going to like them against the Chargers this week. I think Joe Mixon's going to be able to run all over that defense, and I really like the way Joe Burrow is playing football. What do you make of what you see here? I mean, New England, can they get that number 1 seed or what?
Yeah, so I've been alluding to this, that I was going to bring this up the entire show because you mentioned it, how quickly things change. We laughed, kind of scoffed when we said it. I was like, New England could be, on top of the AFC, and then bang, blink of an eye, you're like, all right, New England is on top of the AFC. And now I'm just looking at it, I'm like, New England will be the 1 seed. And it's like, I actually looked into it, and New England might finish as the 1 seed. They got to beat the Bills, right? It's contingent on them being the Bills. The Ravens are the current 1 seed in the AFC. This is the Ravens schedule going out. It's a lot of the postseason and then most of the NFC playoff picture. So you have the Steelers in Pittsburgh, the Browns in Cleveland, then the Packers, the Bengals, the Rams, and then the Steelers again in the close. Like, I don't know. Like, you can't confidently say how many they're going to win there. That could really go either way. Then when you look at the Patriots schedule, yeah, they got to play the Bills, but it's like the Jags, the Dolphins. I mean, the 3-game stretch they're on now is going to say everything. At Bills, at Colts, then against the Bills again, right? Pretty brutal stretch, but they've won 6 in a row. They take 2 of those 3, even one of the 3. I mean, they're going to win those last 2 games. Like, they're going to be in the thick of things, man. Yeah, I don't know how the tiebreaker will work with the Bills. Like, say they each take one, I'd have to look deeper into it, but that would be really, really interesting. Like, if New England gets the 1 seed, man, crown Belichick. I'm sorry, we were sitting here giving Brady his flowers all season last year, right? And he won the Super Bowl, and it's like, who was it, Brady or Belichick? Look what Belichick is doing right now. And everyone laughed at the free agent signings he was making. He threw money at Nelson Aguilar. And I'm not saying they all came through, but the guy put a team together, man. Like, you would have never thought this would be the case right now for the New England Patriots. I kind of can't get enough of it. It's unreal. I doubted them this week. I took the Titans +7. I'm done doubting them. I'm done doubting them. Like, it is wild. This defense is playing well, man. This defense is playing well, and the Bills offense better figure it out. They really better figure it out because I think the Patriots will move the ball on them. They'll definitely be able to run the ball on them. So Josh Allen's got to take care of the ball on Monday night, or, dude, I mean, we're looking at the New England Patriots as not only winning the East, but they may be the 1 seed in the AFC.
They
wild.
may be the 1 seed. Yeah, a 6-game winning streak. I saw on I think it was Good Morning America. Just another 6-game winning streak for Belichick, which is something that he's done, I think, like 15 times since like 2004. It's just ridiculous. Obviously really good teams, but nobody really saw this coming. Let's be honest. Nobody saw this coming. They're 10-1 right now to win the Super Bowl. It is tough, like, to back a rookie quarterback to win the Super Bowl, but I think the defense is the best in the league. They're playing like the best in the league. They're going to get a true test here down the stretch with the Bills a couple times. The schedule turns in their favor, but plus 146 point differential is number 1 in the NFL. They're riding that 6-game winning streak. This is key. This is going to be a phenomenal game this weekend. We got a break, but I just want to take a look at some early spreads here. So I think, Dallas against the Saints at 4. I'm going to go with Dallas here in a bounce back spot. I don't know about all the COVID issues, but I think we'll see Dallas take care of the Saints. I think the Saints are completely broken. They're going to go to Taysom Hill this week, but I do like Dallas in that spot. I mentioned Cincinnati, 3-point favorites here against the Chargers. I don't know if that line's going to move all that much, but I think the Bengals win at home. Some other lines I'm looking at the under between Philadelphia and the Jets, and I don't think I'm going to back Philly to win by a touchdown, but under 45 and a half.
Philly can't lose in MetLife 2 weeks in a row. You better talk to the guys. They may drive down to the Meadowlands and talk to them about figuring it out. Can't lose to the Jets. Can't do it. You just can't do it.
The Colts are going to smack the Texans, 9-point favorites. I know it's a big number, but they're going to smack them. The Texans are no good. The Rams at 13, I can't touch that one. But I'm going to like Baltimore. You can get Baltimore at 3 on the road in Pittsburgh. Tough spot on the road. You can get 2.5 at PointsBet right now. Most spots have them 3.5. I bet this last night. San Fran at PointsBet -2. You can still get that at -110 over Seattle. And I know it's a division game on the road, but I think this San Fran team is rolling. Most spots at 3.5. And then this New England Buffalo game, man. The Pats are +3 here into Buffalo. I think that's going to be a pretty entertaining game. We do got a break. We got 3 segments left in the show. And Tino, stick around. One more segment. We'll talk some baseball. We'll talk about some of the signings. Maybe a little Freddie Freeman talk as well. Keep her locked. Welcome back to Mean Streets here on Game Plus Network. Luke is still hanging out with us. Should I keep Cordero Patterson in my flex for PPR leagues? I mean, yes, absolutely. You just continue to roll him out. I don't know if you're thinking about a keeper like in the offseason. I think if he stays with Atlanta, I mean, you keep this guy, right? They seem to know how to use him. And you know what? He looks really good. He looks really good. And Tino, you've been on that all year long, sir. So good on you for that one. All right, MLB signings. We get a couple more to add to this list. I bumped Noah Syndergaard off of it. Don't worry. He's no longer on the list. So I got a couple more. We've kind of just we put the new ones on the bottom here, and we just got rid of those other guys that were just hanging around there. My initial thinking was I'll just put the top 10 signings on here. So Robbie Ray joins Seattle. It's not great for the Halos here. He joins Seattle. Max Scherzer, we kind of talked about yesterday. Javier Baez, dude, 6 years, 140 in Detroit. And then Corey Seager, are you kidding me? Texas lost 102 games last season, and all they've done is spend like over $300 million here in a week and a half on, you got Marcus Semien up at the top. They signed Gray, and they got Corey Seager in here. My goodness, man, Seager, that's a massive, massive deal for him. What do you make if you were Toronto? Because we have some friends here north of the border hanging out with us. If you were the Blue Jays, who would you rather have, Robbie Ray or Kevin Gausman?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Yeah, I know.
You're asking me to decide.
For me, I think it's Gausman because I think he's a better. I think he's got a better ground ball rate. I think he's got a better walk rate. I think he'll win you more games. I think he won't have as many blow-up starts as Robbie Ray, but man, okay, that's good pitchers.
From that point, for sure. It's just like, I don't know. Well, because let's put it this way. Robbie Ray won the Cy Young, but at the same time, the Blue Jays have their ace, right? So I don't think you necessarily need Gausman to come in and be that ace. I think if he comes in and fills his role similar to what he did in San Francisco, I think you're getting what you're paying for if you're Toronto, right? Like I think me trying to depreciate someone who just won the Cy Young is going to be really difficult. So it's like, I think they're both super even. I think Robbie Ray may have played above his head a little bit last season for sure, if you just look at his track record, right? So it's like, we've seen Cy Youngs fall off before after a good season here or there, though. So, I mean, the Mets were tied to Gausman. I really like Gausman, too. I do know that, he kind of fell off towards the tail end of last year from what he was doing at the beginning of the season. So, we'll see. I love Gausman. The thing that sticks out to me the most is $500 million for a middle infield on the Texas Rangers, where I don't even know who the Texas Rangers have pitching. I don't know who's on the Texas Rangers. And then Connor Falefa is a guy who we kind of talked about last year as like a middle infielder who was like young and kind of up and coming. They're just going to throw him to third. I think that's like a very MLB-esque move. You move a guy out of position. Like, we'll see. I hope they don't lose him. Like, I think there was something there with him. So, I know you're going to go Semien and Seager up the middle. It's just $500 million, man. Wow. Just wow.
Right? Yeah. I wonder. Carlos Correa's sitting there like, hello. I think he's gonna get paid too,
and how do
right?
you justify Seager's contract? Like, I can't really figure out Seager's contract, to be honest with you, because, like, I don't know. Like, could you ever say Seager was the best player on the Dodgers at one given point in time? Like, I can't.
He went through a moment 2 years ago where he was great, but
that's what I mean.
A lot of injuries have really held him back, right? Doesn't have a tremendous amount of power. I know it's a lot.
10 years. 10 years.
It's a lot.
Oh my God.
It's a lot of dough.
It's
a lot of dough.
He better be the face of the Texas Rangers franchise for years to come. Like, they better be getting more than what they're paying for. They better be getting more than just a baseball player. I mean, oh my God. 10 years.
We got a break, but we'll see if the Tigers get Correa. Maybe it's a little bit more appealing for their lineup, but I think Javier Baez I think he's overrated, man. I think he's slightly overrated. He swings too much in the opposing batter's box in the dirt. He chases all that nastiness. But he does have, from fantasy standpoint, he's got some upside, of course, with the power speed combo.
Well, I think that they had a chance to match. I think it was more the years than the money. I don't think they wanted to give him 6 years. I think that's the one thing that stands out to me. It was probably something like that. I think they wanted to give him like 3, 4. I wanted to touch on really quick. George is saying that Tigers fans are losing it over not getting Correa. I wouldn't be so sure that they still don't make a play for Correa, though. I think Javi and Correa would be really cool together up the middle. Luke Scherzer, yes, is 37. He has some injury history. It's always risky. Anyone the Mets signed will be risky because they're going to the Mets, okay? But we're happy about it. And George, yes, the Yanks have moved.
Yes, that's the comment of everything. Yeah, the Yanks have moved to Arlington, Texas. What is happening? The Red Sox and the Yankees are not spending any money, and everybody in the AL West is absolutely spending money. And it's not the Angels who missed out on Robbie Ray and Kevin Gausman. We got a break. We got some hockey picks, some shot props, and some picks as well. So keep her locked. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back in. Let's turn our attention to the NHL. There's 8 games on the ice here. I love the conversation, guys. I really will circle back with any questions that I don't get to here on this show. But let's bring up some shot props here in the NHL. There's 8 games, as I mentioned. You know, Eric Young and I went through all the games, and we gave basically a couple shot props for every single game. I got some plus money dudes here for you. Rupe Hintz is one of these guys. Plus money. He's really heating up. You know, very, very slow start, but all 7 of his goals have come in this month, and he's cleared 2.5 shots in 9 of his past 10 games. Tough spot against Carolina, but he's really rolling. I like the ice time that he's getting. I really like the way that the Dallas Stars are playing hockey right now after a very, very slow start to the season. Ryan Hartman's a guy that I think we continue to ride out. I mean, he's having a career season. He's well on his way to having that career season. I think like the most goals since he's had in his rookie season back in 2014-15 with the Hawks. 2.5 shots. He's cleared in 9 of his last 11, and he's got goals in 3 straight and 5 of his past 6. He's playing on that top line. I like him and Kirill Kaprizov. A good spot here tonight against Arizona, who played last night and gave up like 100 shots to the Winnipeg Jets yesterday, despite winning that hockey game. Huberdeau has been plus money for about a week and a half now. He's not, but he's still at a pretty good price. He's cleared in 8 straight games. You guys know I always like Sam Bennett. I'm fine with Sam Bennett every single time. He hasn't cleared over the past couple days, but I think, for Huberdeau, just played Washington and had 3 shots and had 6 attempts towards the goal. So I like Jonathan Huberdeau just slightly more than Sam Bennett, but you guys know I'm fine with him. Pasta, we're eating like kings tonight if Pasta does it. This guy, every single day, he puts like 5 or 6 pucks towards the net for David Pastrnak. 7 shots in his last game. He's got 17 shots in his last 3 games, and he's had at least 7 shots. He's had at least 6 shots in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games this month. He loves to shoot the puck. Taylor Hall also in play with no Brad Marchand in the lineup. So Taylor Hall, you could get him at plus money. He's going to play on that top line tonight with Pastrnak and Patrice Bergeron, and a really good spot against the Detroit Red Wings here. And then Jasper Bratt. Jasper Bratt is one guy that we haven't given here on this show just yet, but he's really, really feeling it this season, especially lately. He's got points in like 8 of his last 10 games, 13 shots on goal in his last 3, and he's cleared 2.5 in 7 of his past 8, and he is plus money as well. One more segment, we will talk a little picks. I like a lot of unders, which is weird. Those are all overs. We're going to switch gear and talk a little under here. NHL picks to come on Mean Streets. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back one final time here on Mean Streets. Appreciate everybody hanging out. I love the conversation. The baseball conversation is great. Maybe a few more signings to talk about tomorrow, but here's some NHL picks here for you today. I am going with upset in Dallas. It's really tough for me to pick against Carolina. I love this squad. I really, really like the Hurricanes, but I think they're in the middle of a slump. They lost 3 of their past 4 games, and the Dallas Stars are on home ice here today. They're starting to turn things around. They've won 4 straight games. They beat good teams too. They beat Colorado. They beat Edmonton. The combined score is 7-2 in those games. So they have won 4, 5, 6 of their past 7 games. Plus money at home, and I don't think we'll see a lot of offense. As long as Freddie Anderson is between the pipes, I like the way Jake Ottinger is playing, so I don't think we'll see a lot of goals. Maybe get a 3-2. If you can get under 6, that empty net always scares me. Do it, but I'm fine with the under in that one. Anaheim, LA, I don't think we'll see a lot of offense there either. And Columbus is scoring a lot of goals, but Nashville doesn't give up a ton. UC Star he's been one of the better goalies in the league over the last year and a half, 2 years or so, and Elvis Merzlikins has been pretty solid for Columbus as well. So I like unders in those 3 games. I'm backing the Devils here on home ice against the Sharks. Going to get Jack Hughes here. And if you're not feeling the Dallas Stars, you're not feeling the upset in Washington, you see the parlay there, the puck line parlay, Minnesota to win by 2 against Arizona, and then Dallas and Washington to hang tight against their respective teams as well. Washington plus 1.5. Meaning finally throwing Jamie Bone a Ben. That's right. Jamie Bone. That guy has been a bust for me. He started to play a little bit better, but it's more about that top line with Robertson, Hintz, and Pavelski. They're really rolling. Man, it's been a fun show, guys. I like you guys hanging out with us. A lot of people have asked about the Jays situation. We got to get out of here. But the Jays situation, I think they just made a business decision. Robbie Ray was looking like he wanted to sign after December 1st. Gausman wanted to sign before December 1st. It was basically the same contract. Robbie Ray's camp said we could have got more money. They did get slightly more money, but I think it's okay. Kevin Gausman's a pretty good pitcher. So for the Jays fans hanging out here, it's all right. You lost the Cy Young Award winner, but Kevin Gausman's a pretty good pitcher as well. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. We'll be back tomorrow. Cheers.